U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Kurt Volker. Kurt, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, what can we expect from Iran right now?
Well, I think Iran is thinking about its options. It is committed to attacking Israel. It may not want to do it directly from Iran as it did the last time. It didn't work very well the last time anyway, and is probably more interested in getting Hezbollah to do the heavy lifting of attacking Israel. Hezbollah, of course, is much closer to Israel, so the missiles that they launch will be much harder for Israel to defend against. What's interesting is I think the administration has done a few good things here by releasing this tranche of aid to Israel. They're sending a strong signal that we've got Israel's back. We're giving them the weapons. Also putting some aircraft in the region, the F-22s that you mentioned. These are going to aid Israel with air defense. The one thing that has not been added to the mix here is a direct threat on Iran itself, that if it or its proxies attack Israel, there will be direct consequences. And that is where I think Iran is now trying to think it through. How can they still attack Israel, claim it's the proxies, and deter or avoid any engagement directly against Iran? And I think that's what they're trying to orchestrate right now.
If this, I imagine, could potentially be a more severe attack than we saw a couple months ago, do you imagine other countries would come to Israel's aid, for example, neighboring Arab countries?
Well, we saw that with Jordan last time already. And I think in terms of air defense, yes, it's possible. You might see a bit more in terms of support for defense of Israel. But in terms of action against Iran, I think that's really Israel and the United States that would either do that or not. And how Iran perceives that will be probably the main factor in how Iran decides how it wants to play this.
What happens to the hostages in all this? Because I don't want them to be forgotten as we talk about
this. And this is the tragic thing. It has been a very long time now, and we keep trying to push for a ceasefire. But the reality is that a ceasefire would allow Hamas to continue to hold the hostages for as long as they want. That they will view that as having succeeded by taking the hostages and preventing more escalatory attacks against them. They feel that they will have succeeded, so they will keep those hostages. I think this is something that needs to be dealt with directly by the United States, at least for the American citizens. We need to be doing everything we can to get those hostages evacuated.
By the way, the newly elected president of Iran, does he have any sway in this whatsoever?
It really is not the president who's going to be making the calls here. It is the Revolutionary Guard Corps in Iran that calls the shots on all.
But by the way, just to interrupt, the reason I say this is because he seems to be opposed to an all-out conflict.
Yeah, but he's a figurehead there. The Ayatollahs have the real power, and the Revolutionary Guard Corps has all the real military and security power, and they're the ones that are going to be calling the shots.
By the way, the $3.5 billion that you mentioned, I was reading that doesn't directly go immediately to Israel, right? It goes more to the creation of systems that have to be built and then eventually will be delivered to Israel, right? I mean, what are we talking about when we say $3.5 billion was delivered, or released, I should say?
Yeah. It's a combination. The number is the amount that the president is now authorizing being delivered to Israel. Some of it will be transferred directly from U.S. stocks. Some of it will be reimbursement for replacements for those things for the U.S. Some of it will be newly built. But what's important here is the symbolism that with where we are with Iran and Israel, Iran is seeing that there is a strong, steady commitment to Israel.
By the way, the attacks that Israel had launched, I mean, for example, killing a key Hezbollah commander, how significant are they in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I think it's significant because Israel was making a point that it can reach inside Iran if it needs to. It can take out the leadership, so it should provide a deterrent to others who rise into those leadership positions to maybe have more caution because they might be subject to the same kind of assassination or targeted attack. So it is a shot across the bow for the leadership. It's not in itself going to change the overall capabilities of Iran or Hezbollah. but it may factor into their calculus that Israel has the means and is willing to use them in order to go after the leadership.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.